This week on Instant Experts, does Tylenol cause autism?
Does aspirin cure stupid?
Trump wows with his speech at the United Nations.
He called them cunts in 128 languages.
And Jimmy Kimmel is back on air.
He was never taken off. He was just broadcasting via Optus.
Welcome back to Instant Experts, acetaminophen edition. It's all the latest news explained by idiots. Here to keep you sane in a crazy world. I'm Henry Lee, and as always, I'm here with my dear friend, the Honk. Honky, welcome.
Henry, my dear fellow, what a pleasure to be here with you. And what a week. So much has happened this week.
It has.
We've been taken off the air after making one too many jokes about Trump.
Yes.
We got reinstated.
By popular demand, of course.
Yeah. Then Trump demanded $16 million in compensation for his hurt feelings.
I told you not to mention the Epstein files.
Well, I wouldn't have if Trump wasn't in them 500 times. By the way, I've taken the liberty of agreeing to settle that lawsuit for the full valuation of our show.
Right. So now Trump owes us $1.57.
Exactly.
We've done medical degrees.
We have at the University of YouTube. And now we are prepared to make sweeping changes to Australia's healthcare system based on our gut feel.
Actually, you can take a pill for gut feel. Relieves the pain immediately.
Henry, you have been captured by Big Pharma yet again.
Yes, well, they gave me $50,000 cash in a bag.
The escalator broke down going into our studio.
It's a conspiracy, Honk. It's lucky you live on the ground floor.
And now the teleprompter has broken down, so we'll have to freestyle the whole show.
I mean, wow, Joe Biden couldn't do that. We're amazing. Now, all that's very impressive, Honky, but did we end any wars this week?
If you don't mind, we ended at least 7, maybe 8. There was the one with Fiji.
Yes.
With Norfolk Island.
Tasmania.
Yeah, Darwin, even though we haven't got any listeners there.
You know, you do so much for them, Honky, and they never appreciate
you.
You
Just don't. I'm even hopeful of having the fight between Geelong and Brisbane resolved by late Saturday afternoon.
It is so much for this country, Honky. I think Australia's the hottest country in the world right now.
Yeah.
Except for when bad things happen, in which case they're Elbo's fault.
No, they're Bob Hawke's fault.
The CPI numbers did show inflation going up again this week.
Well, exactly. This is Hawke's economy. We're just fixing the mess.
That's right. After all, they are monthly numbers. And Hawke was last Prime Minister in 1991.
But seriously, Henry, and we say it every week, this is a show about crooks, fuckwits and morons. And frankly, we give up. At this point, it's like Prince Andrew was co-hosting Play School with Jeffrey Epstein, and we're just being asked to buy the merch.
What story can we start with, Honk? Can you narrow it down at all?
You'd have to say there are, 10 stories we could start with? But we're going to have to go with Donald Trump, MD, aren't we? As you know, the US Department of Health and Human Services is now run by Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the former heroin addict and drug dealer who has absolutely no qualifications in medicine and in fact made his name in environmental law.
Strictly speaking, he made his name by being born.
That's true.
No one would take him seriously if he was not called RFK.
That is true. And he has a long history of doing very strange things. Leaving a dead bear in Central Park.
The bear, yes.
Yeah. Cutting the head off the whale, putting it on top of the car with the kids on holidays.
Keeping a diary of his affairs, which his wife discovered before she then killed herself.
Yeah. Having a parasite, he said, eat part of his brain. Anyway, now he's in charge of the US Department of Health, and he has decided that Tylenol, which is the highest selling pain reliever in the US, causes autism, even though, as I understand it, there is basically zero evidence for that.
So I read that autism was first identified as a medical condition in 1911.
Yeah.
And Tylenol was invented in 1955.
Right, we'll just let that hang, shall we? And the most robust scientific study on the topic has found, as I understand it, there is no increased risk of autism from taking Tylenol when you adjust for genetics.
Right, because genetics are the number one driver of autism, according to all the best science.
As well as a bunch of other factors like being, for example, an older parent, a la Trump, who fathered Barron Trump when he was almost 60.
Yes, but nothing's Trump's fault, Honky, please.
No, sure. There is, however, a lot of evidence that untreated fever during pregnancy has serious risks, like neural tube defects, and Tylenol, or acetaminophen, helps address that.
So they're basically making stuff up.
Okay, listen, don't take my word for it, or our word for it. Have a listen to these clips from Trump. He literally says, doesn't he, that he's just giving his opinion without knowing the facts. He can't even pronounce the name of the drug he's talking about. And then he really goes off-piste into mumps, measles, rubella, hepatitis B, which, by the way, is endemic in many parts of the world because it is passed from mother to baby at birth, which is why babies get that vaccine. It's actual practical prevention. Anyway, here is Emeritus Dr. Trump.
Autism, I mean, it could be bigger, it could be small, a little bit smaller. We don't know how broad the spectrum is. We don't know exactly where it starts and where it ends. We understood a lot more than a lot of people who studied it, we think. You know, there's something artificial. They're taking something. Is that a correct statement, by the way? The FDA will be notifying physicians that the use of well, let's see how we say that. Acetaminophen, which is basically commonly known as Tylenol, a very increased risk of autism. And you shouldn't give the child the Tylenol every time he's born. And nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. You know, the way I look at it, don't take it. Don't take Tylenol. Don't give Tylenol to the baby. Here, take a cup of Tylenol. I've heard that for years. Don't take Tylenol if you're pregnant. And break up MMR. Break it up. The MMR, I think, should be taken separately. This is based on what I feel. They pump so much stuff into those beautiful little babies. They're pumping, it looks like they're pumping into a horse because it's too much liquid. Hepatitis B is sexually transmitted. So I would say wait till the baby is 12 years old. You know, I'm making these statements from me. I'm not making them from these doctors because we have a lot of information. And that information, I mean, it's the information that we have that we're making these statements. And that's called medical research. Yeah, please.
I mean, that's amazing. I'm trying to imagine a single woman we know, or a single woman in the world for that matter, who would be interested in taking Donald Trump's advice on pregnancy. Well, that's a mansplain from the top drawer.
From the top rope.
The angle I find interesting is the grift one. There's the medical one, but there's always a grift with the Trump White House.
Yeah, of course.
Someone's always making money out of his decisions, and it's usually him. So on this one, instead of acetaminophen or minophen, depending on your vitamin preference, I'm a vitamin guy from way back. On this one, Trump has recommended a drug called Leucovorin.
Oh, yes.
Which is folinic acid, which is similar to folic acid. Not exactly the same, but similar. So he's recommended Leucovorin to treat autism. And guess who owns a stake in a company that sells Leucovorin?
Is it Jeffrey Epstein?
It's Dr. Epstein to you.
It's
actually the boss of Medicare and Medicaid and Trump appointee Dr. Mehmet Oz.
Oh, Dr. Oz from television.
Exactly.
By the way, quick sidebar. Dr. Oz was also, before this, the Republican Senate candidate in 2022 for the state of Pennsylvania.
Did not know that.
Now, he lost, not that it matters much, because the Democrat who won, John Fetterman, actually had a stroke right before he won the Democratic primary.
Right.
And ever since he had the stroke, he's gone pretty much Republican.
Is that a literal stroke or a metaphoric stroke?
Actual stroke.
Right.
And Dr. Oz was criticised in the campaign for being rich and out of touch with the needs of ordinary Pennsylvanians, which is not surprising because he's actually from New Jersey.
Right. But is rich and out of touch.
And rich and out of touch, which he countered with this hilarious video of him in a supermarket where he was talking about how he understands voters' anxieties in Pennsylvania because he himself had noticed in the fruit and vegetable area that the costs of, quote, crudités had gone through the roof.
Anyway, Dr. Oz is famous and rich. And to be fair, he is or was actually a proper doctor. He's a cardiothoracic surgeon by trade. But he is also an investor in a company called iHerb, which sells Leucovorin. And you just know that Trump's getting a kickback from somewhere. So he's saying short Tylenol, long Leucovorin, and Dr. Oz is getting a little bit richer. So he'll be able to afford the crudités.
Thank God. The whole thing, I think, is neatly summarised in two ways. One was by a post online this week that said, quote, the craziest thing about autism and Tylenol is that Trump is in the Epstein files. And the other is this post from the president of the American College of Physicians, which I think speaks for itself. Have a listen.
Today, the American College of Physicians call upon President Trump and Congress to remove and replace Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services. He has spread medical misinformation. He has not relied on science, data, or evidence. Our country deserves better.
Oh, honk. Come on. The American College of Physicians only represents 162,000 doctors across the US, so pretty fringe. Organisation.
Yeah, totally true.
What would they know?
That's true. Good for you for pointing that out.
Okay, folks, time for our shout-outs to listeners all over the world. We have them all over Australia, of course, although I do have to apologise this week to our Shepparton regular, Kerry, who got in touch to tell us that she's actually from Newmerker, not Shepparton.
Never heard of Newmerker. But clearly a bit of rivalry there.
Yeah, it's lucky you ended that war too.
Thank you.
My old choir mistress was from Newmerker, and we went there on a school trip many years ago. So nice place, as I recall.
Yeah, but that was before the war with Shepparton. You've got it. You're living in the past, mate. It's all changed now. Everywhere you look now, there's like these closely pruned trees, irrigation, unexploded fruit.
We have other regulars around the world, including our pair of listeners from Dartford in Kent.
We've talked about these guys before. That has got to be Mick Jagger and Keith. It's got to be Mick and Keith.
It's Mick and Keith for sure. And Cirencester, Acetaminophen in Gloucestershire.
Is it Cirenster? What do you reckon? Where?
Maybe, listener, you can get in touch and correct our pronunciation because I'm sure we haven't pronounced that correctly.
Sure. So where is it?
It's basically at the bottom of the Cotswolds.
Right. Oh, that's got to be BJ Vance.
BJ Vance still on holiday. Honky, we've had a huge week in France this week with listeners in Paris, Marseille, Lyon, La Seine-sur-Mer, amongst other places.
How were we in Reims? Were we big in Reims?
I'm not attempting to pronounce that anymore.
The key thing is we're huge in France. We're huge in France. They love us.
We are, grand.
We're grand.
But the new location of the week is Sharjah, which is well known to cricket fans as a location that's hosted an enormously large number of meaningless one-day internationals since about 1984, especially matches featuring India and Pakistan that could not be played at home.
And not all of them were fixed, right?
You want to bet?
Sorry, where is Sharjah? Where is it?
It's in the UAE.
Aha, thank you.
So they'd play matches there, so basically people could bet on them in India illegally. A lot of suspicious things happened over the years.
How dare you?
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Honky, let's move to American carnage, and there's been lots of it, and it's had an international flavour this week.
The flavour of a Russian pee-pee tape.
Donald Trump was at the United Nations this week, which, as listeners will know, is housed in New York.
Now, you mentioned this up top, us getting caught on an escalator and our teleprompter not working. And that's clearly an epidemic because it actually happened to Trump.
He got on the escalator at the UN with Melania and it immediately stopped.
Yeah, and then his teleprompter didn't work for the first several minutes of his speech to the UN General Assembly.
That's right, and his speech couldn't be heard properly in the main chamber, which I think was an audio issue, not a teleprompter issue.
That's right. The truth is, the escalator didn't work because a White House videographer was travelling backwards on the escalator to film Trump and Melania. About the teleprompter, Trump complains he had to wing the first few minutes of his speech.
If it had worked, he could have winged the whole thing like usual.
The teleprompter too, by the way, was organised by the White House, it seems. And about the audio, Trump says that Melania claimed that she, quote, couldn't make out a single word he said.
Well, that may be because he doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I don't think she's listened to a word he said since they got married.
I don't think so, no.
They speak the international language of cash for sex, and that's about it. Trump joked about it all at the time, but he's since said it was a conspiracy against him. And Carolyn Levitt, the liar for hire, who works as Trump's press secretary at the moment, has one-upped him and demanded that whoever at the UN is responsible be fired. And then Fox's Jesse Waters, who's a suck-up from the old school, brought the temperature down nicely with this contribution.
This is an insurrection. And what we need to do is either leave the UN or we need to bomb it. It is in New York, though, right?
Yeah,
there could be some fallout there.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe gas it?
No.
Let's not do that.
Don't gas it. Okay. But we need to destroy it.
Unbelievable.
But the big news of the week, Honky, was Trump's new position on Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
So he's just going to lie on the bed with his legs up. Is that the new position?
Yes, he's looking up or down. Now, we've counted over many episodes Trump's massive flip-flops on Russia, or really just his wet lettuce approach to Russia.
For example, blaming Ukraine for its aggressive acts, like being invaded in the first place.
Correct, the aggressive act of existing.
Remember Trump saying that to end the war, Ukraine would have to give up just a bit of territory?
Yeah, the part marked Ukraine.
But then Trumpy had a meeting with Zelensky of Ukraine and announced Ukraine could win the war and claim back all its territory with the help of NATO and the United States.
I did see that, Honky, and he actually sent a long tweet about it with the first sentence exactly as you described. It goes like this, quote, "After getting to know and fully understand the Ukraine-Russia military and economic situation, and after seeing the economic trouble it is causing Russia, I think Ukraine, with the support of the European Union, is in a position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in its original form." But my question is, has he only now got to know and fully understand the situation? What the fuck has he been doing the whole time? That's how he starts it off, after getting to know and fully understand the Ukraine-Russia military and economic situation. That is your job. You got one job.
And he said that NATO countries like Poland, Romania, Estonia could and should shoot down Russian aircraft that enter their airspace.
With the help of NATO?
Yes.
With the help of the United States?
Let's not rush and do anything. Let's not get too excited.
Has he finally chosen a side, do we think?
Well, he chose a side for Tuesday.
Yes.
But 48 hours before that, on the previous Sunday, Trump was reportedly halting military assistance to Baltic and NATO states that border Russia.
Right. But Trump has actually been right for once supporting Ukraine, but a broken clock's right twice a day. Trump actually does make one good point, which is that if Europe wants a clear US commitment against Russia, it needs to stop importing Russian oil, which is basically the thing that's funding Russia's war effort, is sales of oil to Europe, which it then uses to make arms and fire bombs and drones and missiles at Ukraine. They've said, yes,
Well, that's good.
we should do that, except for the bits of Europe that rely on Russian oil and are over the border, like Hungary and Slovakia on Russia's doorstep.
Very helpful. That's great.
But the final word goes to Trump. The tweet we talked about finishes as follows, and it was very, very long, but he sounds like a guy previewing the AFL Grand Final.
Yeah.
Goes, quote, Putin and Russia are in big economic trouble, and this is the time for Ukraine to act. In any event, I wish both countries well. We will continue to supply weapons to NATO for NATO to do what they want with them. Good luck to all.
That's like good luck to Geelong and Brisbane. Good luck to Russia and Ukraine. Good luck to Churchill and the Nazis. Should be a great game. And I'm really looking forward to watching. What?
Exactly. Now, Honk, the Trump administration has had a tremendous week on the home front as well, standing up for truth, justice, and the American way.
Yes.
And I want to talk about two things which are a nice contrast. The first involves the Department of Justice, and the second involves the Department of Homeland Security.
Yeah, all right. Okay.
Okay, so first the DOJ. As we've said many times on the show, you know what Trump is up to by what he complains about others doing.
Absolutely.
And he complains constantly about the weaponization of the Justice Department.
Which means he is weaponizing the Justice Department.
Exactly. And specifically, he's been trying to go after two people who have investigated him. James Comey and Letitia James.
Yeah.
Comey is the former director of the FBI, and James was, and in fact is, the Attorney General of New York.
So Comey investigated Russia's attempt to influence the 2016 election in favor of Trump. Isn't that right?
Right, which they did very successfully, Russia that is. And the job of going after James and Comey fell to a guy called Eric Siebert, who was the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, i.e. Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And Siebert was a very well-regarded career prosecutor. The only problem is he couldn't find any evidence of wrongdoing by either James Comey or Letitia James.
What about Letitia Comey James?
So none of the above. So Trump,
right.
of course, finds this unacceptable. The lack of evidence, the lack of grounds for prosecution is totally unacceptable to him, and says about Siebert, quote, I want him out, unquote.
Fucking hell.
So Siebert duly resigns, only for Trump, because he's such a fuckwit, to claim that he fired him.
Because he has to take credit, as always, right?
He has to be the man. So then Trump sends a tweet directly addressed to the U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi, demanding she take action despite the lack of evidence.
This is our Pam Bondi.
Correct.
So she was the Attorney General of Florida when Epstein was running rampant and did absolutely nothing about it.
Except cover up for Trump.
Yeah, which is why she's now the United States Attorney General.
Exactly. So Trump demands Bondi take action, claiming there is, quote, a great case and many lawyers and legal pundits say so,
Yeah,
unquote.
except for the lawyer who was actually looking at the case, right?
Correct. So he then Trump that is, demands Bondi install a lawyer called Lindsay Halligan in Siebert's place. Halligan, of course, is perfectly qualified because she is a former beauty queen,
Right.
has never been a prosecutor before, and loves Trump.
If I read this correctly, did she actually appear in the same beauty pageant as the wife of the late Charlie Kirk? Is that Erica Kirk?
She did. So Lindsay Halligan and Erica Kirk were both contestants in the Colorado section of the 2010 Miss USA pageant, a pageant which, in fact, Trump owned.
You cannot make this up. It's unbelievable, right?
That's right. So Siebert resigns last Friday, US time. Halligan, the beauty queen who's never been a prosecutor, is appointed on Monday as interim attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, and charges against James Comey are pressed on Thursday. She's been in the job for 72 hours. Now, by the way, the statute of limitations on Comey's case, which is 5 years, expires the following Tuesday.
Well, that's handy.
Cases are basically zero chance of success, but the message is clear.
Okay, so that's one thing. What's the other thing? You said there were two.
So the other thing was regarding Tom Homan.
Oh, the Border Czar.
That's right, the guy with the Russian job title, who is ICE's kidnapper-in-chief.
He is fuckwit in chief as well.
He is. He's a thug.
Appalling. So what do you reckon we can call him? Because we called Mark Johnson when we called him Mark Throbbing Johnson.
Throbbing Johnson.
What are we going to call Tom Homan?
Surely abominable. The abominable Homan.
He looks like that because he's really big and sort of lumpy and sort of looks like a sort of ape. That's really good.
Bald Yeti. So anyway, so Tom the Abominable Homan, good wrestling name too.
Great name.
Tom the Abominable Homan, who, by the way, was previously a paid consultant to Geo Group, which is a private prison company which operates a bunch of the ICE detention centres.
Oh, that's handy. Yeah, handy. Oh.
So Tom Homan is caught on video taking $50,000 in cash from undercover FBI agents posing as contractors seeking to get government contracts from the Trump administration.
And the DOJ prosecuted him, right?
The DOJ drops the case.
What?
They've got him stone dead taking a bribe on camera from the FBI, their own people, and they dropped the case.
This is really extraordinary too, because Homan didn't even deny it, did he?
He denied giving the contracts but not taking the cash.
So he took the cash?
Yeah, but he said I didn't do anything illegal.
Because he never delivered on the bribe.
Correct, he just took the cash. And
fucking hell.
I expect he didn't declare it on his tax return. But the point is, the law is completely irrelevant to Trump. The only thing that is relevant is whether you're loyal to him.
Totally.
And he doesn't care because since the Supreme Court ruled he has immunity from prosecution for official acts committed as president, there's no accountability at all. It's a shit show.
So you've basically got Dr. Oz on the take, you've got the abominable Homan on the take, you've got Trump himself on the take via the crypto scams and the golf clubs and the Qatari plane. Why don't they just save everyone some time and publish a fucking price list?
That's probably a very, very good
Unbelievable.
idea. Oh, honk. Okay, let's get to quick shots. What have you got?
Look, I don't know about you. I enjoyed the Epstein-Trump Best Friends Forever brass statue that suddenly appeared this week on the mall in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
It was basically them holding hands plus an extract from the birthday book, which, remember, Trump has never seen, never drew, and never signed.
Except when he was undercover.
That statue's now been taken down, unfortunately, but I think the point was made.
All they have now are the memories, honky.
Looking further afield, I also enjoyed Trump's negotiations with the Taliban this week.
Right.
So Trump has been criticising Joe Biden for giving up Bagram Air Base near Kabul to the Taliban, and he's been demanding the Taliban give it back. Yeah. Specifically, he said on social, quote, if Afghanistan doesn't give Bagram Air Base back to those who built it, the United States of America, bad things are going to happen, end quote.
The old something will happen line.
Just two problems with that. The first is it's Trump himself who gave it up in 2020 under the Doha Agreement. And two, he's dealing with the fucking Taliban. They don't give a single fuck in hell what Trump thinks. They're hardcore lunatics who've beaten Russia and the US in war.
Yeah, and beaten their wives repeatedly in peace.
Well, goes without saying. Here's what they said in reply to Trump. Chief of Staff of the Afghan Ministry of Defense put it nicely. He said, quote, we assure the people of Afghanistan that no agreement over even an inch of our soil is possible, end quote. Then the guy from the Taliban Intelligence Directorate was a little bit more direct. He said, quote, just as we once wore explosives and blew ourselves up to take this country, we wear explosives and blow ourselves up again to defend it now.
That's the art of the deal, honky. Now, speaking of which, Aussie Prime Minister Anthony Albanese was at the UN this week as well, lending his very weighty support to the recognition of a Palestinian state. And Hamas thanked him immediately with 3 public executions.
Can you not be so insensitive? That's Hamas's culture. Just that's how they express gratitude. They're racist.
There were 3 people who they thought were informants, so they just beheaded them or shot them in the public square.
Look, to be fair to Albo, he did say that a Palestinian state had to be subject to Hamas having no involvement.
Yes, but I think we can safely assume Hamas does not support that position. Huh?
Yeah. In fairness, again, though, Hamas has said it's open to handing over power to the Palestinian Authority.
Where, at a bar mitzvah near you?
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
What about handing over hostages? Any danger?
Have some respect. Not at a bar mitzvah, like Hamas does. Come on.
Honky, while we're in the Middle East, huge congratulations to Israel. They've bombed Qatar a couple of weeks ago, as we mentioned, to go after Hamas leadership, and that's gone really well, hasn't it?
Let's recap a bit. One of the main reasons for Hamas's attack of October the 7th in Israel was to carry out Iran's wish to draw Israel into a war that would stop other Arab nations normalising relations with Israel, which did not work. Those Arab nations had held firm in wanting to normalise relations with Israel.
At least until Israel bombed Qatar.
Right. So now all the Gulf states, so Qatar, the UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, want to stop normalising relations with Israel, and they're all exploring their own NATO-type pact. Right. And best of all, Qatar, like 48 hours after the attack by Israel, signed a mutual defence pact with that well-known stable nation and lover of Israel, Pakistan.
So in other words, in bombing Qatar to get Hamas, Israel has delivered Iran what Hamas couldn't deliver to Iran.
Exactly. On the positive side, a couple more wars have been ended this week by the great peacemaker Donald J. Trump.
Yes, this is all part of his ongoing campaign for a Nobel Peace Prize, a one-man campaign, I hasten to add. Although I think Pakistan did nominate him.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying. He's not saying it. A lot of people are saying it. And his pathological need for praise too, even if, as you said, it's from himself.
Yeah.
Anyway, this week he claimed...
Well, he takes his own praise higher than anybody else because he loves himself more than anybody else.
Yeah, well, there's no higher praise then. Yeah. Anyway, this week he claimed to have ended a war between, if you're ready for it, Cambodia and Armenia.
He really said that?
Yeah, he said, quote, Cambodia and Armenia, that was a bad one.
I'm not sure anyone from Cambodia has ever been to Armenia. They are thousands of kilometres apart. I reckon they're 4,000 kilometres apart minimum.
Think of any two countries that are further apart, right? But that's nothing compared to this one. Just have a listen to this.
To think that we settled Azerbaijan and Albania as an example.
Between Azerbaijan and Albania, I mean, they're maybe not thousands, but at least a few hundred kilometres apart. They've got nothing to do with each other.
They're far enough apart that if you want to fly between them, you've got to stop over in Armenia and Cambodia.
What I didn't realise is that the war between Azerbaijan and Armenia, which is the one that did stop, was the final of a tournament. It sounds like Armenia beat Cambodia in the semi-final and Azerbaijan beat Albania, and then they...
It's Azerbaijan, do you mind?
And then it was a draw in the final. Entertainment news, Honky. The big story here, of course, and we alluded to it at the top, is that Jimmy Kimmel returned to the air after a whole week in the sin bin.
We talked about this last week. Disney owns ABC, the network that Kimmel is on. Do you reckon Disney was worried people thought that it had lost sight of the value of free speech?
Well, it might have lost sight of the value of $3.5 billion, which is how much its share price dropped during the week.
Yeah. The consensus has been that Trump got Kimmel fired because he can't take a joke. But even that may not be right either. Because I don't know if you saw this post Trump posted on Truth Social. He said, quote, "We're going to test ABC out on this. Last time I went out for them, they gave me $16 million. This one sounds even more lucrative."
He's just a total scumbag, total shakedown. He's talking about Paramount paying $16 million for a 60 Minutes episode Trump objected to.
Yeah, that's right.
And Paramount basically paid the $16 million so they could get a merger through. And again, we talked about this last week. So they paid the $16 million. The merger went through as planned. And then they fired Stephen Colbert for saying it was a bribe, which it was.
And which Trump essentially just admitted, having previously denied it.
Correct. Trump also said let Jimmy Kimmel, quote unquote, rot in his own bad ratings, which they were, okay for late night, till Trump got him fired. Now they're 300% up on where they were before. It was a massive advertisement for his show.
So Kimmel had his first show back and he did this long monologue. And I'm not a mega Kimmel fan. I don't know about you. But he said some interesting things. He thanked all the right-wingers and Republicans like Senator Ted Cruz, who backed his right to free speech even though they hate his guts.
Yeah, speaking of stop clocks, Ted Cruz is right twice a year. He was emotional about Charlie Kirk's murder, I believe.
Yeah, he even agreed to read something from Disney on the air. You should have a listen to this.
A lot of people have been asking me if there are conditions for my return to the air, and there is one. Disney has asked me to read the following statement. To reactivate your Disney Plus and Hulu account, Open the Disney Plus app on your smart TV or TV-connected device.
What really impressed me, Honky, is that Trump's very own head of the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, appeared on Kimmel's show.
You mean Brendan Carr?
Well, the new head of the FCC.
Sorry, who?
Well, you'll have to wait to get there, like Alan Dershowitz on the plane to Epstein Island. But all good things come to those who wait. Okay, Honky, on to Aussie news, and we've got to talk about the Australian telecommunications company Optus.
Yeah, the number two.
And that is a term of art.
Sure is.
They are SH1T.
So over the last few weeks, we've talked about the ANZ Bank here in Australia, which fired a whole lot of people that forgot to tell them, and then also had to pay 240 million Australian dollars in fines to the Aussie corporate regulator ASIC for a whole lot of atrocities, including charging fees to dead people.
That's right. And Optus said, hold my icy cold schooner of the blood of small children, because we're not going to charge fees to dead people. We're going to create dead people.
So last week on Thursday, Optus was doing a network upgrade. Now, the whole idea of a network upgrade is when you do that, all the calls on the network are meant to move to a backup network while it happens.
Yeah, I haven't been a telecommunications engineer for long, but there is a concept in engineering called redundancy. And so when you're turning off the A system, you've got a B system as a backup, right?
But it didn't actually happen, did
it? It didn't happen.
Yeah, so what it meant was that in South Australia and Western Australia, some callers on Optus could not contact our emergency number, 000, which is like the equivalent of 911 in the United States.
And they didn't tell anybody in senior management for 12 hours.
And in the interim, Optus did tell the federal government's communications minister that only about 10 calls had been impacted. But finally, after 24 hours after the disaster, the CEO of the company then appeared in public.
And he promptly announced that the number of calls impacted, these are emergency calls, was more than 10.
Yeah.
It was 600.
During the fuck-up, here's the worst bit, as you referred to, at least 3 people who couldn't reach emergency died.
Optus is famous for poor reception, but imagine dying calling emergency services are not getting through.
Imagine dying for any reason other than being on hold.
You die on hold to Telstra.
Oh, yes,
Optus you can't get through.
You're quite right.
And they had the same issue in 2024 as well. So this wasn't their first
No.
rodeo. 2,000 Australians couldn't connect in 2024. Optus got fined $12 million.
Yeah, and the guy who's now the current CEO promised that it wouldn't happen again.
Well, it didn't happen again exactly. They killed people this time as well. They improved.
I fucking give up. I don't know about you. I'm getting my next phone through ANZ.
Okay, Honk, it's time for sport, and it's a huge weekend ahead. I know you're looking forward to it. We've got the AFL Grand Final. We've got the NRL Preliminary Finals.
Yep.
We've got the Bledisloe Cup Rugby. We've got the Ryder Cup, that's golf, in case you're wondering, which I know you are.
And
there's no reason to leave the house.
Look, I know listeners love my sporting tips, and I've got them. Here are my tips. Rush to your betting agency right now. I'm backing Rory McIlroy to beat the Penrith Lions with the All Blacks in third. I nailed it. I got it.
You
I
nailed it. But, Honky, the biggest event of the week was not sport at all, but our sons finishing high school.
They did, with the small caveat of their final actual exams, right?
And I'm not one to get too emotional, as you know, but it was a real thrill to be at all the farewell events this week.
Henry, I'm touched by your display of vulnerability.
But the even bigger thrill, Honky, and I have been looking forward to this for some time.
Yes.
Will be on or around the 15th of October when we enjoy round one of the Middle Age Payrise.
You're referring to the sporting event where a large school fee-shaped pirate doesn't ransack your bank account on a monthly basis.
Exactly, and our son was at boarding school for the past couple of years.
Oh.
So the school fee pirate was twice the size.
Oh, my God. This explains why you're always bleeding from the eyeballs every time we record and why you keep checking your account balance.
That's right. So I'm celebrating the occasion, the first month of no fees with a trip to Bali, which I reckon will be less than half the cost, maybe even less than half of a half.
Yeah, I mean, until
what?
Well, I went through this a few years back with my own first son, your godson.
Indeed, yes.
And Archie basically did, I remember fondly, a nude lap at the block the first time we didn't have to pay the school fees.
Yes, planned a few holidays, no doubt.
Yeah, planned a few holidays until one fateful day.
One fateful day, what?
Well, then he got into uni and he uttered those magic, memorable words that I tear up about still. Quote, I want to stay in college.
And you're back to paying boarding fees again.
Exactly.
Well, I'll enjoy a month of glory, then resume feeding cash into the incinerator. Okay, folks, that's all we have time for. Find us in all the usual locations, especially TikTok and Instagram. Please share us on socials, WhatsApp. We ask every week. It really helps us. Rate the show, especially on Apple Podcasts.
It really does.
I think we've got the robot worked out now. It's 5-star ratings really boost us.
It's true. Also, as we say every week, please check out our show notes. That's like the rundown of what's in each episode of the show, which appears wherever you get this podcast. From those show notes, you can send us a text that we'll read on the show, as we've done many times before. You can send us a voicemail direct from our show notes, which we'll play on the show. You can read our show notes for incredibly dumb jokes, dumber than even the ones we do on the show, all written by Henry, as always. And get
I think RFK is writing a few this week.
Got to be, yeah. He's ODing on the Leucovorin. And get in touch with us, either through a text or a voicemail or on TikTok or Instagram. And we want to hear your own experiences with the crooks, fuckwits, and morons in your own lives. And if they're great, we would love to include them in the show.
Until then, we'll be back next week at the usual time of early Saturday morning, Australian Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, now
Might be summertime. No, it's still Standard Time next week.
Yes, I think that's right. Yes.
Anyway, early Saturday morning it will be.
It will. Now, we usually like to finish the show, as listeners will know, with some audio of particular crookery, fuckwitticism, or moron autismification, Tylenolosity.
What have we got this week?
Well, we mentioned Jimmy Kimmel's return to the air earlier, and that he even scored an exclusive interview with Trump's new head of the FCC.
Yes, and you don't know their identity, but it's not Brendan Carr.
I now remember their identity. It is Robert De Niro.
I love it.
Playing a mob boss named, well, you're right, actually, I didn't know his identity, because as he says, quote, it doesn't matter who I am, I know who you are. And he is definitely not threatening anyone over free speech. Have a listen. Meantime, thanks for your company.
We're back next week because stupid never sleeps.
No, well, pardon me for saying so, but it seems like the FCC is using mob tactics to suppress free speech.
What did you just say to me?
You can't say that. That's a violation of free speech.
Oh, yeah, about that. Speech, it ain't free no more.
What?
We're charging by the word now.
How much are you charging?
Depends on what you want to say. Like, you want to say something nice about the president's beautiful, thick yellow hair, or how he can do his makeup better than any broad. That's free.
Okay.
But if you want to do a joke like he's so fat he needs 2 seats on the Epstein jet, that's going to cost.
Okay. Can I just ask, just for clarity, because it's a pretty good joke, how much would that one cost me?
A couple of fingers, maybe a tooth, and we also got a new motto at the FCC. Sticks and stones may break your bones.
And?
And?
Well, the rest of that is what words can never harm you.
Oh, well, they can harm you now. Let's make sure you pick the right words. Capiche?
Okay, yeah, I guess I capiche, but I don't think... Oh, it sounds like you got a call there, huh?
Hi, handsome. Oh, I mean, I'm sorry, Mr. President. Okay. You got it, sir. You got it. Bye. Look, I got to go. A couple of cases of Tylenol fell off a truck, and now I got to figure out how to put autism in them.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that sounds tricky. So good luck with that, sir.